You think you know China. Everyone thinks they know China. The Great Wall, the pandas, the billion people, the factories that make everything in your house, the economy growing so fast it rewrote the rules of the entire world. You have seen the photographs. You have read the headlines. You think you have a picture in your mind of what this country is. You don't. Nobody does. China is the most photographed, most written about, most discussed country on Earth. And it remains the most misunderstood. Because the China that most people know is a surface, a front, the part that faces outward, the part that was built for the world to see. Behind that surface, there is another China. Not hidden exactly, not secret, simply enormous. A country so large that it contains multitudes, contradictions that would tear any other country apart existing here side by side, calmly, as if they were not contradictions at all. The most ancient and the most modern, the most beautiful and the most difficult, the most preserved and the most demolished, the most controlled and the most chaotic. All of it. The same country, the same people, the same roads leading from one world into another. We spent months trying to understand China. We found something we did not expect. Not one China, not two. Something far more complicated, far more interesting, far more human than any headline has ever captured. What you are about to see is not the China you were taught about. It is the China that exists, whether or not anyone is watching. Hong Kong, cage homes. Hong Kong has the most expensive real estate on Earth. A single square meter in the center of the city can cost more than a house in most countries. And at the bottom of this market, the cage homes. Not metaphorically, actual cages. Metal mesh boxes stacked on top of each other in subdivided apartments. Each one approximately 2 meters long, 70 centimeters wide. Enough space to lie down, not enough to stand. Inside the cage, a mattress, a small shelf. Whatever the person who lives there has managed to keep. The residents are mostly elderly men, former workers, people who came to Hong Kong decades ago to build the city, who lived in factory dormitories, who never earned enough to rent a proper room, who are now too old to work, too poor to leave. They pay approximately $300 a month for a cage in a city where a one-bedroom apartment costs $3,000. The building they live in looks like any other from the outside. A staircase, peeling paint, a smell of cooking and something older. Inside, 30 cages in a room. The sound of 30 people breathing, coughing, watching phones through the mesh. Above them, in the same city, the tallest residential buildings in the world. Glass towers where apartments are bought by investors who never visit, who keep the lights off, who own the space simply to own it. In 2021, the Hong Kong government announced it would eliminate cage homes within 10 years. The announcement was made in a glass building in the center of the city. The cage homes are still there. Beijing Houtongs. The city behind the city. Two kilometers from the Forbidden City, the palace that housed emperors for 500 years. There are streets that have no heating. No private bathrooms, where residents share a communal toilet at the end of the alley. That closes at 10 p.m. The Houtongs of Beijing. Ancient alleyways that wind through the oldest parts of the city. Some of them barely wide enough for two bicycles to pass each other. The word Houtong comes from the Mongolian for water well, because each cluster of alleyways was built around a communal well. Beijing's Houtongs date back 700 years, to the Yuan dynasty, when the city was planned as a grid of courtyards connected by narrow lanes. At their peak, there were more than 6,000 Houtongs in Beijing. Today, fewer than 1,000 remain. The rest have been demolished, replaced by apartment blocks, by shopping centers, by the roads that a modern city requires. Each demolition is announced in advance. A red character painted on the wall of the building. Chai, which means to demolish. The residents have weeks, sometimes days, to take what they can carry and leave. Some of them have lived in the same courtyard for 3 or 4 generations. Their grandparents were born in these rooms. Their children learned to walk in these alleys. They are given compensation, an apartment in a tower block on the edge of the city, far from everything they have ever known. The Houtongs that remain are preserved, protected, turned into tourist areas, filled with boutique cafes and art galleries and shops selling authentic Beijing memorabilia to visitors from elsewhere. The people who made the Houtongs what they were, who cooked in the courtyards and played chess in the lanes and knew every neighbor by name, are mostly gone. What remains is the shape of their life, without the life inside it. Houtouwan, the village that nature swallowed. 40 miles east of Shanghai, on a small island in the East China Sea, there is a village that the jungle ate. Not a tropical jungle, not a rainforest. The ordinary climbing plants of coastal China that found empty walls, empty roofs, empty windows, and moved in. Houtouwan, Back Bay, on Shengshan Island, one of 400 islands in the Shaanxi archipelago. In the 1980s, 3,000 people lived here. Fishermen and their families, boats in the bay, children in the school, fish drying on the walls, a community built entirely around the sea. Then the fish became scarce. The bay too small for modern fishing vessels. The island too remote for children to get a proper education. Too far from the mainland for decent medical care. People started to leave. Slowly at first, one family, then another, taking what they could carry, leaving the rest. By 2002, everyone was gone, and the plants began immediately. Not dramatically, not all at once. One vine on one wall, then the wall next door, then the roof, then the street. For 20 years, no one was watching. No one was cutting anything back. No one was maintaining the walls or the paths or the boundaries between garden and house. Everything became garden. By the time anyone outside knew Houtouwan existed, the village was unrecognizable as a village. It looked like a hillside, a very green hillside, with rectangular shapes inside it, with windows, with doors, with staircases you could follow if you knew they were there. In 2015, a photographer from Shanghai climbed the hill and took a series of photographs. They went viral, overnight. The whole internet wanted to know where this was. This place that looked like something a child imagined. A village eaten by a forest, on a cliff above the sea. People began to arrive. The island had no tourist infrastructure, no signs, no paths. Just the green village and the mud and the mosquitoes and the sound of the sea. A viewing platform was built, then ticket booths, then signs. 90,000 visitors in 2021. Some of the former residents came back, not to live, to sell water to tourists, to lead tours through the village that used to be theirs, to point at a wall covered in leaves and say, "That was my kitchen." Inside the houses that can still be entered, the furniture is still there. Chairs at tables, bowls in cupboards, a calendar on a wall. Stopped at a date in the 1990s, the village is still furnished. Its owners simply stopped coming home, and nature filled the space they left, slowly, completely, without being asked. Loess Plateau, cave homes. 0.40 million people in China live underground. Not in basements, not in bunkers, in homes, proper homes, with kitchens and bedrooms and courtyards, carved directly into the yellow earth of the Loess Plateau in northern China. They are called yaodong, cave dwellings. The Loess Plateau is one of the largest deposits of wind-blown sediment on Earth. A thick layer of fine yellow soil covering 640,000 square kilometers of Shanxi and Shaanxi provinces. The soil is remarkable. It is soft enough to dig with basic tools, but compressed enough to hold its shape, to support the weight of the earth above, to create rooms that last for generations. The temperature inside a yaodong stays constant year-round, around 12 degrees Celsius, cool in the blazing summers, warm in the bitter winters, no insulation required, no heating system. The earth does it for free. The oldest cave dwellings here are over 4,000 years old. The first humans to live in them were contemporaries of the pharaohs. Today, some families have lived in the same caves for 10 or 12 generations. The grandfather dug further into the hill. The son added a room. The grandson plastered the walls and put in electricity. Standing in a Yaodong village, you see almost nothing at first. A hillside, some paths, some low walls. Then you look closer, and you see the doors, arched doorways set into the earth, some painted red, some with paper decorations, some with satellite dishes mounted beside them. The village is inside the hill, has always been inside the hill. And the hill doesn't look like a village until you know where to look. In recent decades, the Chinese government has relocated many Yaodong residents to new apartment buildings in nearby towns. Modern, heated, with running water. Some residents left willingly, some did not want to leave. An old woman interviewed by a researcher described the apartment she had been moved to. Clean, she said. Modern, but cold. Not in temperature, in feeling. The walls don't breathe the way Earth breathes. Zhangjiajie, the mountains that inspired Avatar. The director of Avatar needed a landscape that looked like it belonged on another world. He found it here, Zhangjiajie, a national park in Hunan province in central China. 3,000 sandstone pillars rising from the forest floor, some of them over 200 meters tall, almost vertical, with flat tops covered in dense vegetation, trees growing at the summit of pillars too narrow to climb. From above, they look like a city of towers, not built by humans, grown from the earth, over 380 million years. The rock here is quartz sandstone, deposited as sediment on an ancient sea floor hundreds of millions of years ago, uplifted by tectonic forces, then eroded by water along the vertical cracks that naturally form in this type of rock. The softer material dissolved. The harder cores remained, standing. Over millions of years, more dissolved. The pillars grew taller, more isolated, more vertical, more impossible. Some of them are connected by glass bridges. The Zhangjiajie glass bridge, 430 meters long, 300 meters above the valley floor. The longest and highest glass bridge in the world. Walking across it, you look down through your feet at the forest 300 meters below. The glass is 6 centimeters thick, rated to hold 800 people at once. Most people stop in the middle and look down and have a thought they cannot quite put into words. In the morning, when the clouds roll in from the valleys, the peaks disappear. The tops of the pillars float above the cloud like islands, like something from a world that hasn't been named yet. This is the landscape that James Cameron saw in a photograph and decided was too beautiful to leave on Earth. Lai River, Guilin. There is an image on the back of the Chinese 20 yuan note. Karst mountains, rising from a flat river, bamboo and mist, a fisherman on a narrow boat. That image is real. It exists. You can stand in it. The Li River. between Guilin and Yangshuo in Guangxi province. 83 kilometers of water between limestone peaks that rise from the flat plain like the teeth of an ancient creature. The river is slow here, unhurried. The color changes with the light. At dawn, silver gray. At noon, pale green. At dusk, amber. After rain, brown and fast and different entirely. The cormorant fishermen are still here, not many of them. A handful of old men who learned from their fathers, who learned from theirs. They work at night, a lamp at the bow of the boat. The cormorants, large black birds, trained to dive and catch fish. A ring around their throats prevents them from swallowing. They return to the boat. The fisherman takes the fish. The birds are fed afterwards. Every fourth fish is theirs. They have been fishing this way on this river for over 1,000 years. The karst mountains around the Li River are between 200 and 300 million years old. They were once coral reefs on a shallow tropical sea. The sea retreated. The coral compressed into limestone. Tectonic forces lifted it. Rain dissolved it. Over 200 million years into these shapes. These shapes that appear on banknotes, that appear in paintings for 1,000 years, that appear in photographs taken today, that look almost identical to paintings from the Song dynasty. Because the river hasn't changed. The mountains haven't changed. The mist comes in the morning. The fishermen pole their boats. The cormorants dive. 200 million years of rain made this, and it still looks exactly like the painting. Hani Rice Terraces, Yunnan. For 1,300 years, the Hani people have been reshaping a mountain. Not with machines, not with concrete, with water and mud. And the understanding passed from parent to child for 50 generations of how a mountain wants to hold water. The Zhangye Hani Rice Terraces in Yunnan province. 16,603 terraces carved into the slopes of the Ailao Mountains, descending from peaks at 2,000 meters to valleys at 144 meters. Each terrace a thin sliver of flat earth carved from the hillside, some no wider than a few meters, some stretching hundreds, flooded with water from the forest above, maintained by an irrigation system so sophisticated it has been called one of the greatest feats of agricultural engineering in human history. UNESCO agrees. The terraces were declared a World Heritage Site in 2013. But the Hani were not farming for UNESCO. They were farming because this is how you feed a village on a steep mountain with no flat land. You make the flat land, one terrace at a time, one generation at a time. The water system works because the Hani protect the forests above. The forests hold the rainwater. The water flows down through the channels the Hani have maintained for 13 centuries. Into the terraces, into the paddies, into the rice. Remove the forest. The system collapses. The terraces dry. The mountain erodes. The Hani have understood this for 1,300 years. In the wet season, when the terraces are flooded, they reflect the sky. Thousands of mirrors on a mountainside, each one a different angle, each one a different shade of gray or blue or gold, depending on the light, depending on the hour, depending on the cloud. From above, it looks like something that should not be possible. A mountain that has been turned into a mirror. By 1,300 years of careful hands. The Great Wall, the last guardians. Most people who visit the Great Wall see the same section. Badaling, the restored section 2 hours north of Beijing. Smooth stone, rebuilt parapets, gift shops at the base, cable car to the top. This is not what the wall looks like for most of its length. The Great Wall stretches 21,196 kilometers across northern China, from the Yellow Sea to the Gobi Desert. Most of it is crumbling, unrestored, unvisited, returning to the landscape it was built from. And along this crumbling wall, in the remote sections, far from any road, there are still watchtowers, Ming Dynasty watchtowers, built 500 years ago, still standing. Some of them are occupied, not by soldiers, not by government officials, by single men, old men mostly, who were assigned or volunteered to watch over a section of the wall, to prevent locals from taking the stones to build houses, to stop tourists from damaging what remains. They live in the tower, alone, for months at a time, some for years. No running water. They collect rain, no electricity. They use candles, or a small solar panel if they are lucky. They walk their section every day, check for damage, move away anyone who comes to take stones. Their salary is minimal. Some receive almost nothing. They do it because someone has to. Because the wall that their ancestors built is disappearing, and they are the last ones who remember why it mattered. At night, from the tower, you can see nothing in every direction. No city lights, no roads. Just the wall stretching away into the dark. The same view a Ming Dynasty soldier saw 500 years ago. Before the wall meant tourism, before it meant postcards, when it meant the edge of the world they knew, and the beginning of something unknown beyond it. Potala Palace, Lhasa, Tibet. It rises from the rock as if it grew from it, not built on the rock, not placed on the rock, part of it. The palace and the mountain, a single thing seen from a distance. The Potala Palace, Lhasa, Tibet. 1,300 years old, 117 meters tall, 13 stories, 1,000 rooms, 10,000 shrines, 200,000 statues. Home to the Dalai Lamas for 3 centuries, abandoned by the 14th Dalai Lama in 1959 when he fled to India, and has been empty of its intended resident ever since. But not empty. Every morning, before the sun reaches the palace, the pilgrims begin to walk. Clockwise, always clockwise, around the base of the red hill on which the palace stands. They walk with prayer wheels, spinning them with each step, releasing the prayers inscribed on the metal into the world. As if prayer were a physical substance that could be dispersed, carried by the spinning, sent up the hill, toward the palace, toward whatever it represents to the person spinning. Some of these people have walked for days to reach Lhasa, some for weeks. Some prostrate themselves the entire distance, lying flat on the ground, standing, taking one step, lying flat again, for hundreds of kilometers. Because the physical effort of the journey is part of the prayer. Lhasa sits at 3,650 meters. The air contains 35% less oxygen than at sea level. The pilgrims walk anyway, breathless, slowly, spinning their wheels. Above them, the palace, red and white, against a sky that at this altitude is a deeper blue than almost anywhere else on Earth. The blue of altitude, the blue of thin air and strong light, and a sky that has been watched from this exact hill for 1,300 years. Zhangye Danxia, the Rainbow Mountains. The first time you see them, you assume the photograph has been edited. The colors are wrong, too many of them, in the wrong places. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, all in the same mountain, in horizontal stripes, like a painting, not a landscape. They are real. They have never been edited. The Zhangye Danxia in Gansu province, what geologists call redbed geology. Layers of colored sandstone deposited over 24 million years as sediment in an ancient lake. Red from iron oxide, green from chlorite, purple from manganese, yellow from sulfur. Each layer a different period, a different mineral, a different color. Then 10 million years ago, the same tectonic forces that built the Himalayas tilted this entire region. The flat layers became angled, exposed at the surface, and rain began revealing them. The colors change with the light. At dawn, pale and pastel. At noon, vivid and electric. At sunset, deep and saturated. After rain, every color more intense, every stripe more defined. No two photographs taken here at different hours look like the same place. The mountains cover 322 square kilometers, most of them inaccessible. The viewing platforms at the highest points give you the panorama all at once. 24 million years of different mineral layers, tilted by a collision of continents, revealed by rain. A painting that the Earth made in 24 million years, that the rain is still improving every day. Zhangjiajie, the Valley of Color. The name means 9 Stockade Valley, 9 Tibetan villages that once stood in this mountain valley in northern Sichuan. Most of the villages are gone now. The people relocated to allow the valley to be what it has become, one of the most protected and most visited natural sites in China. What they left behind is extraordinary. 114 lakes, all of them a different color. Not slightly different, dramatically different. 5-flower lake, turquoise and green and blue, all in the same water depending on depth and angle. The bottom visible through 10 meters of water, as if through glass. The Panda Lake, a blue so deep it appears artificial, like someone dyed the water, like it was designed. The Reed Lake, pale and silvery, almost white, surrounded by reeds that turn gold in autumn. The colors come from calcium carbonate deposits, dissolved limestone carried in the mountain streams, deposited on the lake beds, creating white terraces beneath the surface, reflecting light differently at different depths. Between the lakes, waterfalls, not gentle waterfalls, wide, flat cascades that fall over calcium carbonate terraces, the water white and loud between silent colored pools. In 2017, a major earthquake damaged many of the lakes. Some were filled with sediment. Some lost their color. The valley was closed for 2 years. The lakes recovered on their own. The calcium carbonate slowly building up again. The terraces reforming. The colors returning. In 2019, Zhangjiajie reopened. The lakes were different. Some had changed color. Some had changed shape. The valley had rearranged itself, the way it has been rearranging itself for thousands of years, long before anyone was watching. Fujian Tulou, the buildings that fooled the CIA. In the 1960s, the CIA received satellite images from southeastern China. Large circular structures, hundreds of them, in a remote mountainous region of Fujian province. Perfectly round, enormous, arranged in clusters. The analysts studied them carefully. Their conclusion, nuclear missile silos. They were wrong. They were houses. The Fujian Tulou, earthen buildings constructed by the Hakka people, a Han Chinese subgroup who migrated south over many centuries, fleeing war and persecution. They arrived in Fujian and built fortresses, not castles, not walls, houses, that were also fortresses. A Tulou is a single building that houses an entire clan, sometimes hundreds of people, all related, all living in the same structure, sharing the same courtyard, the same well, the same ancestral hall in the center. The walls are made of rammed earth, compacted layers of soil mixed with bamboo and rice, straw and brown sugar, sometimes egg whites. Up to 2 meters thick, strong enough that the oldest Tulou still standing has survived 700 years of rain and earthquake and war. The ground floor has no windows facing outward. The entrance, a single gate, reinforced with iron, filled with stone channels to pour water through if attackers set it on fire. Because the Hakka had enemies, had always had enemies, built their homes to outlast them. And they did. 46 Tulou are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but there are thousands more, scattered across the mountains of Fujian, many of them still inhabited, by the same families who built them 500 years ago. An old woman in the Chengxi Lu the largest Tulou, 400 rooms, was born in room 34, has lived there her entire life. Her mother was born there, her grandmother. 3 generations, the same room, in a building that the CIA once thought was a nuclear weapon. Fenghuang, the ancient town. Most ancient towns in China have been rebuilt, restored, made comfortable for tourists. The old stones replaced with new stones that look old. The residents relocated. The souvenir shops moved in. Fenghuang is different. Not entirely. The tourists are here. The souvenir shops are here. But the people are also here. The same people, in the same houses, in the same streets, that their families have lived in for 300 years. Fenghuang, Phoenix Town, on the Tuojiang River in western Hunan province. The houses are built on stilts over the river, wooden, dark with age. Their lower floors almost touching the water, their upper floors extending over it, overhanging the current. At night, the lanterns come on, red lanterns hanging from the eaves, reflected in the river below. The whole town doubled in the water. The Miao and Tujia people have lived here since before the town was founded. Their embroidery, their silver jewelry, their festivals, their language, still here, still in use, by people who learned them from their grandparents. The town wall still stands, built in 1556. Parts of it, the gates through which soldiers once marched, through which school children now walk on their way home. There is a specific light that Fenghuang gets in the late afternoon, when the sun comes through the gaps in the hills at a low angle and hits the dark wooden buildings and turns them amber, and the river below them turns the same amber. And for 30 minutes, the whole town is the same color. Warm, old, unchanged. The painters come for this light, have been coming for decades. Set up their easels on the old bridge and paint what has been here for 300 years. And will probably be here for 300 more. Taklamakan Desert, the Sea of Death. The name means you go in, but you don't come out. The Taklamakan Desert, in the Xinjiang region of northwestern China, the second largest shifting sand desert on Earth, 337,000 square kilometers of sand. The dunes here are not static. They move, driven by winds from the northwest. Some dunes travel 30 meters a year, burying roads, covering oases, silently advancing on everything in their path. At the edges of the desert, the oasis towns, Kashgar, Hotan, Dunhuang, ancient cities on the Silk Road, that existed because of the waters seeping from the mountains that ring the desert. That allowed caravans to cross the uncrossable. For 2,000 years, merchants carried silk and spice across this desert, from China to Rome, from Rome to China, stopping at the oases, trading, resting, continuing. The Silk Road was not a single road. It was a network of routes that shifted with the dunes, that followed the water, that required exactly the knowledge that the desert nomads possessed. In Dunhuang, at the eastern edge of the desert. The Mogao Caves. 492 caves carved into a cliff face, filled with Buddhist art, painted over 1,000 years, by monks who were stopping here on their way somewhere else. The caves were sealed in the 11th century, forgotten, rediscovered in 1900. Inside, 50,000 manuscripts, paintings still vivid after 1,000 years in the dry desert air. The desert that kills everything, preserved everything. The same desert that swallows roads and cities kept the paintings of the monks perfect for 1,000 years. Terracotta Army and Xverse. In 1974, a farmer named Zhangjiajie was digging a well in a field outside Xi'an. His shovel hit something hard. He dug around it. A clay head looked back at him. He had found one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history. The Terracotta Army. 8,000 clay soldiers, buried for 2,200 years, in underground chambers surrounding the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. The emperor who unified China, who standardized the language, the currency, the measurements, who connected the first sections of the Great Wall, and who believed that death was simply another kingdom that required an army. Construction began when he was 13 years old. 700,000 workers, over 36 years, building a buried city around a mountain-shaped tomb filled with rivers of mercury to represent the rivers of China, that scientists say still flow beneath the soil. Each soldier was made individually, a standard body, a unique face. Archaeologists believe real soldiers served as models, each one looking at a real man who once stood in the army of the first emperor. Some still have traces of original paint, red armor, black shoes, colored ribbons. When they are exposed to air, the colors disappear in minutes. 2,200 years of preservation undone in the time it takes to walk across the pit. Most of the army is still buried. The main tomb of Qin Shi Huang has never been opened. Archaeologists know it is there. Radar scans confirm its size, its contents, its mercury rivers. But they have not opened it. The technology to preserve what is inside does not yet exist. So the first emperor still waits, surrounded by his army, in the dark, under the field where a farmer was digging a well in 1974. Xuankong, the temple that hangs from a cliff. From a distance, it looks like it shouldn't be there. A wooden structure clinging to a vertical cliff face. Pavilions and corridors connected by walkways that appear to have no foundation, no ground beneath them, just rock above and a drop below. The Xuankong Temple, the Hanging Temple, in Shanxi Province in northern China. Built 1,500 years ago, during the Northern Wei Dynasty, on the face of a cliff in the Huashan Mountains, 75 meters above the valley floor. At the time of construction, it was higher. The valley floor has accumulated 1,500 years of sediment, rising toward the temple as the temple stays where it was placed. The builder was a single monk. His name was Liao Ran. He spent his life building this temple on a cliff face because, according to the records, he wanted to be closer to heaven and further from the noise of human life below. The temple appears to rest on thin wooden poles extending from the cliff face. Most of them are decorative. The real support comes from the beams inserted horizontally into holes drilled into the rock itself. The rock bearing the weight, the poles simply completing the illusion of impossibility. The temple is the only one in China where Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism coexist in the same structure. 3 different belief systems, 3 different sets of statues, 3 different halls, all on the same cliff. For 1,500 years, monks maintained it, repaired it, climbed to it, in every season, in every weather. The valley below floods occasionally. The temple stays dry. That was the point. Liao Ran built above the flood line, a monk who understood engineering better than most engineers. Guiyu, the e-waste capital of the world. Every phone you have ever thrown away might have ended up here. Guiyu, a collection of villages in Guangdong province in southeastern China. For 30 years, it was the place where the world sent its electronics to die. Old computers, old phones, old televisions, old circuit boards, from Europe, from America, from Japan, shipped in containers to southern China, trucked to Guiyu, and handed to workers who took them apart by hand. At its peak, 150,000 workers in Guiyu were dismantling electronics from every country on Earth. The valuable materials were extracted: gold from circuit boards, copper from wiring, aluminium from casings. The process was not clean. Circuit boards were burned in open fires to release the metals inside. Acid baths dissolved the plastic. The smoke and the runoff went into the air and the water and the ground. The rivers around Guiyu turned black. Scientists measured the levels of lead in children's blood in the area. They were the highest ever recorded in China. The soil around Guiyu contained levels of toxic chemicals that made it unsuitable for agriculture. For decades. And yet, the workers kept coming. Because the alternative was poverty. Because dismantling a circuit board paid more than farming. Because someone had to do it. China banned the import of foreign e-waste in 2018. Guiyu changed. The open burnings stopped. Enclosed workshops replaced the open fires. Regulations were introduced, enforced. But the world still produces 50 million tons of electronic waste every year. It still has to go somewhere. Guiyu is cleaner than it was. The rivers are not black anymore. But the soil remembers. The children's blood remembers. The circuit board you threw away last year is already somewhere. Huashan Mountain, the world's most dangerous trail. is a plank, nailed to a vertical cliff face, at 2,160 meters above sea level. The plank is about 30 centimeters wide. Below it, nothing. A drop of several hundred meters to the valley floor. To walk this plank, you clip a harness to a chain, bolted into the rock, and you move, sideways, 1 foot at a time, facing the cliff, not looking down. This is the Huashan Plank Walk on Mount Huashan in Shanxi Province, one of the 5 sacred mountains of China. For over 1,000 years, Taoist monks climbed this mountain to reach their monastery at the summit. They climbed the same cliffs, on the same wooden planks, without harnesses, without safety equipment, because the mountain was sacred. And the difficulty of reaching it was part of the devotion. The monks still live at the summit, still climb these paths. The difference is, now there are tourists behind them. Thousands of them, every day, queuing on a plank nailed to a cliff face, moving sideways above a drop that would be fatal. The mountain has 5 peaks. The south peak, the highest at 2,160 meters, is where the plank walk leads, to a small Taoist temple, a tea house, a view that requires you to have survived getting there to appreciate. The trail to the peaks involves vertical sections of stone stairs so steep they are essentially ladders, cut into the rock, with chains to hold. One section, the 1,000-foot precipice, almost vertical, hundreds of steps, cut by hand into the granite. Another, the 100-foot crevice, a crack in the mountain barely wide enough for one person, with steps cut into the floor of the crack. Looking up, a strip of sky. Looking down, the path you came from, disappearing into darkness. The mountain receives millions of visitors per year. The plank walk sells tickets in advance. People plan for months to be terrified on a piece of wood nailed to a cliff by Taoist monks, who nailed it there for themselves, not for tourists. But the tourists came anyway, to the most sacred, the most terrifying, the most Chinese mountain that exists. Canis Lake, Xinjiang. Most people who have never been to China imagine it one way. Crowded cities, rice paddies, red lanterns. They do not imagine this. A lake the color of turquoise jade, surrounded by forests of birch and larch and pine that turn golden red in October. Mountains with snow on their peaks above the tree line. A wooden village on the shore. Smoke rising from chimneys. Horses grazing in meadows. This is Canis Lake, in the Altai Mountains of northern Xinjiang, as far north and west as China goes, closer to Moscow than to Beijing. The Tuvan people have lived here for centuries, a Turkic-speaking minority related to the Tuvans of Russia, who settled in these mountains and never left, who build their homes from the same larch trees that surround them, who herd horses and cattle through meadows that flood with wildflowers in summer. The lake is 24 kilometers long, 212 meters deep at its deepest. The water is cold, even in August, fed by glacial meltwater from the mountains above. And the color, that turquoise that shifts to to deep blue depending on depth and light, comes from the glacial silt suspended in the water. Particles so fine they catch the light differently at different hours. At dawn, the lake is silver. At midday, emerald green. At sunset, the mountains reflect in still water, and the whole surface turns the color of the sky above it. There is a legend here of a monster in the lake, a creature seen by fishermen for centuries, large enough to swallow a horse, never photographed, never proven. Scientists believe it is a Houtouwan, a species of giant salmon that can reach 2 meters. The Tuvaans believe something else entirely. At the far end of the lake, where the river enters, the forest is primary. Never cut, never managed. Ancient larch trees so large 3 people cannot encircle them. China ends here. Russia begins a few kilometers beyond. A lake at the edge of everything that looks like nowhere in China, and exactly like somewhere you have always wanted to go. China is not a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It is a story still being written. In the alleys of Beijing that are being demolished while someone still lives in them. In the forest that swallowed a fishing village and turned it green. In the ancient town where painters come for a specific light that arrives every afternoon and leaves in 30 minutes. In the mountains where a monk nailed wooden boards to a cliff 1,500 years ago and called it a temple. In the lake at the edge of the country that looks like it belongs somewhere else. In the army of 8,000 soldiers who have been waiting underground for 2,000 years. China contains more history, more people, more contradictions, more beauty, more difficulty than any single story can hold. We have shown you one version of it. There are thousands more. Subscribe, because we have only just begun.